Now, with the Rugby World Cup well and truly underway, today's focus, of course, is undoubtedly on the Springboks' first match in about 8 hours' time. Now, while much of the talk is about the on-field action, the impact of the game of rugby cannot go unnoticed. This has been proven by the fanfare at schools and workplaces with the wearing of box shirts on Fridays. The impact was also clear when Siyakolisi lifted that Webb Ellis Trophy in Japan 4 years ago, and what that did for boys and girls across the country. Now, someone who can testify to just how impactful the sport is Springbok Women's star and the woman who holds the national try-scoring record, Zintle Mpupha. She joins me now via Zoom from Cape Town. A very good morning to you, Zintle. Thank you so much for your time. Now, there's this Future 15 rugby report that has just come out, and it speaks to the impact, the social impact that rugby continues to have and has had in the past. And you're somebody yourself coming from place in the Eastern Cape that has benefited from that impact of rugby. Just talk to us about the significance of this report and I suppose the significance of your involvement as a South African female rugby player.
Good morning, Marina. Thank you so much for having me this morning. Like you said, it's such a great honor to be named amongst the exceptional stars of MasterCard's Future XV, which is a collective group of exceptional people that are individually contributing to the game of rugby, contributing on and off the field, and whether it's driving forward the inclusivity and equality or opening sport to the new players or the fans in entire world. Yeah.
Now, just how impactful has rugby really been? You know, we've seen what it's done in the Eastern Cape. We've seen what it's done in South Africa, but particularly in places like where Siyakolisi comes from, Izwite. You know, what it did for that particular community, how it put that community on the map 4 years ago when he lifted that trophy. But just talk to us about the impact of the sport of rugby from a South African point of view.
Well, rugby has always brought people together. I can still remember, like you said, when Siyakolisi lifted the trophy last World Cup and how everyone went all together to just watch the game as well. And I really think rugby in general just brings people together. And yeah, whether it's on and off the field as well, if someone can see that you're actually a rugby player and doing all that you can as well, they really get behind you and they get together to actually support you. And also that with them doing that, it's actually taking them out of all the crimes, out of all like all the bad things that happen in South Africa as well. As also, they would also like really look up to you and have hope actually to one day be representing the national team, whether it's in rugby or in any other sport as well.
What got you into the game, Zintle? Why did you decide that you're going to do rugby, play rugby for a living?
Well, yeah, I just left cricket for rugby because rugby came very easily for me, and I just slotted into a very nice family and felt like part of it as well. And when I went overseas for the first time and getting actually earning out of it, it's like that was when I actually decided this would be the first thing or the one thing I want to do for the rest of my life, not really sitting in the office and not enjoying myself and getting paid out of it. So I just wanted to play rugby more and more and just keep on scoring tries and becoming professionally out of it, yeah.
The game of rugby in this country is probably at its best right now. If you look at what we're doing in the United Rugby Championship, if you look at, you know, the great strides that SA Rugby has made where the women's game is concerned, you know, a number of test matches that you guys get to be involved in with some very strong opponents. We even have had the hosting of the Rugby World Cup Sevens last year that you were yourself a part of. But there is always room for improvement in anything, even if it's almost flawless. What can still be done in South African rugby?
Well, I'll speak women's rugby if you were to allow me. We are really going in the right direction, and I'm thinking with what the Bulls Daisies has also done for this year, like becoming the first franchise to contract women. I'm thinking we're going in the right direction with that, and obviously, like you said, there's always room for improvement. And we're hopefully going to see other franchises also putting up their hands and giving contracts to the women in rugby as well. And like you said, with the guys, rugby is also doing very well for themselves and also having to participate in URC and having to be finalists twice in a row. And it's really going in the right direction. And I'm thinking we can also like do have that league for women as well. And yeah, otherwise we're going a really good direction. Yeah.
Before I let you go, I can't not ask you this. I know exactly what you're going to be doing at 5:45 tonight, because if you're not doing it, then you're not a true South African. You're going to be sitting in front of your TV and you're going to be watching Siya Kolisi and the boys walk out onto that field at Stade Marseille and begin the defense of their title. Talk to me about what you're expecting from the Springboks this evening as they begin this very mammoth task of making sure that they bring back a fourth World Cup.
I am actually getting goosebumps out of that as well. You got it right. We'll be definitely backing the boys today. And obviously, we know it's not going to be a very easy one. Scottish is always like a very tough team to play against, especially now they're playing up in Europe. But I'm really backing the boys. And I know it's just a different ball game day. And yeah, they're just going to do what they do best. And yeah, they're never going to disappoint us. Yeah.
Zintle, we leave it there with you. Thank you so much for your time, and all the best with everything that you continue to do. Shout out with what it is you're doing out at the Exeter Chiefs, and we hope that you continue to fly that South African flag high. That is Springbok Women's fly half, of course, and the national try-scoring record holder, Zintle Mpupha.